Prince, vitality, the spark of life, the motivation of life, that pure essence of what we truly are. Vitality is what empowers us, because without the vitality, that's when you have depression, that's when you feel stuck, that's when you feel clogged, you don't feel yourself, you get sick, etc., etc. All these things are the results of low vitality. And whenever we need a detox or a cleanse, or we need to step away from things to really figure out stuff, or some people call it a vacation, the recharge, all that really means is your vitality is low and it needs to spike up again, which you can do through forms of detox. And obviously the best way, as I keep saying, fasting. Because what it does for you is it opens up all your channels. On the physical level, it's going to give you the energy you need to get things done. Obviously ambition, motivation, willpower, courage. All these positive attributes all come from having high vitality. You're not going to want to be in a house. Four walls will not be able to contain you. You're going to want to do more. You're going to want to travel, and you're just going to be ready to do whatever. On a mental level, it helps you to think new ideas and pull things out of the air. It opens up your psychic centers. It opens up your centers of creativity, and it helps you to really formulate your ideas precisely and execute them, because now obviously you have the physical vitality ready to go, so now you just have to plan it. So your planning skills, your critical thinking, all these things that require some form of mental exercise, that will come more easy for you, and it will be done more effortlessly, because it's not going to take as much effort as if, your vitality is low. On the spiritual level, it helps you to dig deeper into things, whether you want to call it opening your third eye, or you wanna say just opening your astral sight, whatever you want to call it. You're going to dig deeper into your dreams. You're going to dig deeper into the essences of everything around you. Now, in my personal experience with fasting, I realize every time I write down my dreams, they tend to be way more detailed and vivid when I'm on a fast, especially a dry fast where you don't eat food or drink water, which is an extreme version of it, but you get to have the spiritual experiences even earlier. Like a regular water fast, well, not a water fast, but you're not eating any solid foods. On that type of fast, you have to wait about a good 3 days maybe before your vitality increases. But when you're doing a dry fast, within 24 hours, probably even a night you lay down and go to sleep, you may even feel high. Like I've had times where I've done a dry fast and I can get into these meditative states while laying down on my back, and I will feel like high doing a dry fast. So you dig deeper into your dreams. They're going to be more vivid. You're going to remember, or you can say it increases your memory so that you remember more. You remember more of your astral travels, your lucid dreams, and your dreams, and obviously you will have more control over your dreams. Your senses are going to be way more vivid. Everything is going to feel more real. The colors are going to be more bright. You get what I'm saying? You get all those type of benefits on a spiritual level. And all these things come from vitality, or some people call it energy. Whatever you want to call it, however you want to name it. Vitality. That's the fountain of youth, elixir of life. Whatever detox you do, it all leads to having higher vitality, which increases all the things I just talked about. Now, as you open your psychic centers, you perceive things at various angles. A park that you could have been to 100 times, go there after, let's just say, a 2-week fast, go to the same location that you always go to, and I guarantee you will perceive it from an angle that you normally wouldn't perceive it from. You may start to notice things that have always been there, it just never registered to you. There's so many different things going on around us that our brains simply don't register, just based on the angle that we perceive life. Based on how we perceive things and how we interact with our environment, we're going to perceive things or otherwise not perceive things. There's going to be things that you ignore, and there's going to be things that you give your attention to. Now, when you start to switch the things that you give your attention to and what you don't give your attention to around, you start to perceive a whole different reality. Although you're in the same location, the same city, the same park, library, job, field, wherever you are, you're in the same location, but you start to view it from a different angle. You may talk to certain people that you otherwise wouldn't talk to. You may do certain things or see certain opportunities you otherwise wouldn't have noticed. An example of this would be talking to somebody that you normally wouldn't talk to, but you end up gaining valuable information from them. They may give you some information that will be useful for you, although this person, you would never have thought to talk to a person like that before then. And or you know what I mean, you just have an inspired thought to, hey, let me talk to this person. It's more of a intuitive thing. You have this intuitive feeling to do something, and you do it, and it just leads you on this journey. Some people call it synchronicity, coincidence, however you want to perceive that shit. You go on this journey that certain things start to link up and connect, and you end up in a place that you would have never known anything about, that you never would have known existed. And it's always a journey. It's never something that you just wake up to. It's always something that you have to discover, you have to find, and you have to view. Because once you're able to see those opportunities from these various angles that you can just say normal people don't see because of their lifestyle, it all boils down to the lifestyle. When you change your lifestyle, your whole life changes. That's why it's a lifestyle. It's just an angle of life. If you change the way you view things, and because we create what we see, we're going to start to create different things. Our minds are going to operate in a different way. So whenever you engage in a fast or any type of detox, what you're doing is your mind is going to a more natural, original state. And when it goes into this natural, original state, you can say alpha brainwave state. If we want to get technical about it, when your brain waves go into alpha, that's when you start getting creative. You're able to perceive things in a more detailed level. You're able to analyze things. You're able to go into Pandora's box and really explore the possibilities and the potentials of what you can really do. You get what I'm saying? So however you detox, however you fast, however you choose to view life, there's always various angles available to us. That's why you can have 4 people looking at the same movie and they're going to come to 4 different conclusions, although it's the same movie. 4 different perspectives based on their lifestyle, based on their angle and how they view things. So if you can view things from 4 different angles, imagine what conclusion you're going to come to as opposed to just viewing things from the normal angle you always view them as. When you step out of that mode, maybe even just temporarily, just to see things from various angles, you're able to come to a grander conclusion about what you're studying, which will lead you into deeper finds. If you really want to dig deeper and have spiritual journeys and experiences and all these things, then it's going to take you to view things from various angles. Because if you're just viewing things direct and straight ahead, that's really all you're going to get. It's like a direct answer, yes, no. But when you're inquisitive, you're asking why, how, when, where. When you start to ask the more detailed questions, and you are able to form more vivid imagery in your mind based on the information you're receiving from your environment, your conclusion and your potential and what you think is possible will be greater than it was if you're just viewing at it directly. Bringing your environment to life is a process of decoding your reality. See, everything has multiple personalities and multiple angles, as I just explained, that you can view it as. You know what I mean? Like every street has a vibration. Every herb has a vibration. Everything in nature has a vibration. So when you include the spiritual essence of things, now herbs become spiritual guides and spiritual aids. Rocks become crystals. Streets become planets. Phone numbers become a certain, based on whose phone number it is, it can give you more insight into the type of person they are. Because everything is assigned to whoever it is magnetically. Everything is magnetic. So there's a reason you have the name you have, the number you have, the environment you're in. You're magnetized to all these things based on how you view your reality. Because obviously you're not limited to that. But you can change your name, you can change your environment, you can change what you do. So you're not stuck or limited by these things. You can change your number, but just giving you deeper insight into why certain things occur. Because what it does is it gives you insight into where your starting point will be. What I mean by that is If you don't know how to decode streets, just reference my complete guide to manifestation video, where I show you how to decode the streets, and I give you a live example. Now, if you're looking for excitement or activity, then you know that most likely that's going to be on a Mercury Street. You get what I'm saying? For example, Las Vegas Boulevard is a Mercury Street. And as you know, if you've ever been to the Strip or heard about it, you know it's all about activity. It's all about business, trading, you know what I mean? Like everything that's associated with Mercury, everything that's associated with the number 5. So that's a bigger example of what a Mercury Street would be like. Now, if you're looking for like working out or something more physically demanding, you would want to go to a 9 Street or a Mars Street, something that breaks down to 9. See, when you know the streets, when people, you know, we hear that phrase all the time. I know the streets, so I'm from the streets, so I'm a street dude, or whoever. You know what I mean? Street. What does that really mean? That just means you know the frequency of the streets. You know where to go to get a certain experience. You get what I'm saying? If you're looking for a more mystic experience, you would try the number 7. So whatever streets breaks down to the number 7, you would go there for a mystic experience. You get what I'm saying? Just based on if you're looking for higher education or traveling, you go to a number 3 street, a Jupiter Street. And this is Vedic astrology. If you're into a different type of numerology system, just use whatever works for you. I'm just giving you an example of what works for me. Now, this gives you a certain control over your life because whatever you're looking for, you at least have a starting point. You may not know where you end up. You may not know who you may meet. You just have a desire, and from a desire, you end up with a starting point, and from that starting point, you can allow your imagination to run wild. There's no limit. Sometimes you may have to go to a Mercury Street, you may have to post up and wait till some shit happens. Or you may go and just walk down the streets or drive down the streets, or however, whatever your method of transportation is. And just, you know what I mean, just cruise Mercury Streets. Like, okay, today I'm gonna dedicate my day, I'm gonna cruise down Mercury Streets. I'm gonna walk down Mercury Streets, and I'm gonna decode what's happening on these streets based on the vibration of the street. Or a building, you may go into a building and now that you decoded the address, you should know what type of energy exists within those walls. You can know what goes on in any household just based on the vibration of the household, based on the vibration of the business. You get what I'm saying? Being able to decode things. See, although you're looking at something, you're looking at various things at once. You have mental activity going on in the background. So you may be looking at an address, but you're not just looking at numbers. You're looking at numbers to know where it is, where it's located, but you're also looking at the numbers to see what vibration is within these numbers, and it gives you some type of idea of what could be going on within the walls of the building or within a certain environment. When you look at certain people's license plates, you can see what does that have to do with the type of car it is or the type of person that drives the car. There is no limit to what you can really do to see what it really means. Like the numbers on your driver's license, your ID, you break those numbers down, those numbers and those letters down, see what it breaks down to, and see how that relates to you. See, there's various things going on. So you know what I mean? For people that's into astrology, the sun sign is emphasized, but it's more than the sun sign. You know what I mean? It's 10 planets. If you really want to get deep into a person's personality, you gotta know their sun sign, their moon sign, and their rising sign. If you really want to get deep into it, it's not enough to know the sun sign. It's a starting point, but obviously there's more to a person's natal chart than just the sun sign. So the people that don't really mess with astrology, like it don't really make sense. It's more than just the sun sign. There's various things happening beyond the surface than just one vibration. And it gets more complicated because obviously if somebody's address is 1, it's just going to be 1. But if it's 421, now one number becomes 3, 3 numbers become 5. They all break down to a certain number, but each number has a subtle vibration. It gives you an idea of the play that's going on within the wall. So although it may break down to a 9 or a 6, whatever numbers that led up to that still has a subtle influence to that 6. So although it's an overall 6, or the theme is a 6, but the plays within the 6 are influenced by the numbers before you got to the 6, if that makes any sense. Again, if you're not understanding what I'm talking about, just reference the video I mentioned earlier. So that's what it is. Decoding the reality, bringing your environment to life, and just really decoding the matrix, as they call it. You know what I mean? Just really digging deep into things and the astrology, the numerology, the metaphysics, you know what I mean? The psychology, the philosophy, bringing all these elements to life in your environment. Because what's the point of knowing all these things if we can't bring it to life, if we can't make it make sense to ourselves? Now, when it comes to crystals, whether you're talking about crystals in your water, crystals in the air that you can't see, crystals in your weed, you crack open your weed, you split it open, all the crystals you see, or you're talking about cocaine, drugs, fire, which is flaming crystals. Crystals are everywhere. The crystals in your pockets, crystal cities, crystals, or sugar, salt, all these materials, all these, you can say the earth is a huge crystal. If you go by the flat earth, where the earth is just stationary, it's not moving in space, the earth is a giant crystal and the outer universe is just a hologram. However you want to view it, the earth is a huge crystal. And you can say the stars you see is like various reflections of light based off of crystal. The same way you stare into a diamond and you see glistenings and it's reflecting light, it glistens. So however you want to view it, crystals are everywhere. Crystals, we can't separate ourselves from crystals. We wouldn't be able to survive. Like, our environment is ruled on crystals. Now, when it comes to crystal cities, this makes it a more, I would say, it makes it easier to comprehend that cities such as Atlantis and Egypt and all these ancient cities that were ruled by the crystals, whether you're talking about the pyramids that had crystal capstones, well, obviously Atlantis was powered by crystals. This just seems so out of the box, when we look at life now, by everything that's being so dull or based on where they just pretty much separate you from the crystals. Psychedelics, crystals. When we are separated from crystals, we have to recharge ourselves, and that's why I always mention fasting. Because if you're not able to be around crystals, cannabis, water, all these things, the only thing you can do is fast, and you can still recharge yourself. And you can possibly even go beyond the drugs. You know what I mean? When you combine it with spirituality and some type of spiritual system. Now, the thing about crystal cities is they were powered by a natural source of energy. For example, when we look at electricity in Egyptian days, you could place your hand on a lamp or whatever, and the lamp would turn on. Because what will power the lamp is your own energy. You are the source of the power from the lamp, as opposed to now where we channel in electricity. So when you flick your light on and off, it's electricity that's being channeled into your home or channeled into wherever you are. Now, what gave us the ability to channel energy directly is alchemy. We were alchemists. We are alchemists. Because we still are in touch with our ancient technology. You can say the body is ancient technology. Because obviously the body is not modern technology. The body isn't something new, something modern. The body is, you can say, it evolves, of course, but the body is from the old. The body isn't a new concept. But obviously there's still things that we don't even know about the body. That we are still discovering new shit every day. So the mystery schools in the old days taught alchemy, which you can say is a combination of various spiritual systems. It's not just one thing or two things. It's a combination of all things. And through engaging yourself and channeling the energy and learning these arts, you were able to do things like that. You were able to channel energy directly, which made pretty much anything possible. The same way modern technology says anything is possible and the possibilities and all that, it was the same way back then. So the only difference now is it's artificial because it takes a power source. But when you are the power source, then anything is possible then. So when we hear about the concepts where pretty much nothing is new under the sun, everything has been done already just in a different way, that's basically what it is. Everything has already been done. It just was used with a natural source of energy as opposed of an artificial or indirect source of energy. because obviously everybody is not alchemists, but those who are coming up with the concepts or the people that's leading in modern science, obviously you don't get to that level just by going to school and turning in papers. You don't become a genius going to the most prestige school. It's something that you come into the discovery on your own. It's just being yourself and thinking naturally, thinking originally, and reinventing things. So although everything has been done, you reinvent it and you make it new again. This is what life has always been about. Simplicity and making things easier. So if you don't have the ancient ways of doing things, although we can still tap into these energies, although they are suppressed or shut down to a certain degree. So no, you're not gonna wake up tomorrow and start flying just because you get into alchemy. It's more of a mental detox and how you perceive things and how you go about interacting with your environment, more so than, shooting electric beams out your hands like X-Men or some shit. Although all that is possible, maybe not in the sense of how they portray it, but we have access to those types of energies just in a different way, a more subtle way. It's more subtle, it's more psychic, it's more mental than physical. So when we are able to harness those mental and those psychic senses and activate those and put those back online, then that's what you aspire to be, as a genius more so than the X-Men. More so than somebody that's doing amazing shit. You can be a genius and use your mind, the full capacity of your mind, instead of the 10%. You can use, that's just an amazing part of the mind, because obviously the mind is not the brain, the mind is all around us. But only using 10% of our mind, you can pretty much live a full life. You can do whatever you know what I mean? You don't have to be spiritual to live a full, vibrant life. You don't have to, you know what I mean? Because some people just live life without knowing anything. You get what I'm saying? So ignorance is bliss. So to them, they're not missing out on anything. Just like a child who doesn't know the difference between rich and poor and all these definitions. They don't know about they're missing out on whatever they're missing out on. They're just living life as they know it, as it makes sense to them. You get what I'm saying? So with these crystal cities, with crystals just in general, the earth is a huge crystal. We are crystals. We are light. We are light beings. We hear these phrases all the time, but we don't really hear people go into super detail about what it all really means. What it all really means, it goes back to crystals. Crystals reflect light. It's light within them. It goes back to light, gathering light. A way to gather light is through knowledge. That's why people seek knowledge, because it helps you gather light when you do spiritual work. Now, an example of spiritual work, always go back down to the fast, the detox or the meditation or exploring your dreams or anything that helps you understand yourself more or better, and you really understand your possibilities and your potentials and your talents. Understanding yourself so that you know where to place yourself and what environment that you will succeed in, because we all have to be in a certain environment to succeed based on our genetic buildup, how we're built, how we function. It's not going to be something that just happens on its own. The universe is magnetic, making it a process of instant attraction. You see, with the age of the internet, everything is instant. You can type in a website and be there in seconds. There's no wait time, no lag, none of that. It's instant, it's magnetic because it's a virtual reality that was created using computers, technology, et cetera, enabling us to have access to things, the most important being information, instantly. Now you don't have to necessarily buy a book or wait, for a couple weeks or travel and do all these things. You can get it instantly. However, at the same time, you do kind of lose the opportunity to travel, to read that book, or to get a more in-depth study of how people came to the conclusions they came to. Studying their references, their studies, their travels, and all these things, and seeing things for yourself. Now, the biggest example of magnetism is gravity. When we look at gravity, we can say the human body is instantly attracted to gravity. There's really never a moment where we're not affected by gravity. So that means life in and of itself is a process of working against gravity. So whenever you exercise, whenever you work out, whenever you walk, whenever you do anything that requires physical energy, you're working against gravity. Us being able to even raise our arm up and keep it raised for however long is a process of working against gravity. And in turn, if you do anything enough, Your body will adapt to the frequency it's on. So when you're in shape, that's just you adapted to the gravitation of the earth. So to be in shape is to basically be in tune with the earth. When you're in shape, you're in tune with the earth, and that includes the earth's gravitational pull, and you know how to work against it and use it to your advantage. And that makes a person a miracle worker, or somebody that's looked upon as a mutant or a superhero or unusual. You look at the Olympics, you see people doing things the average person can't do, although we're all human, but they have trained their mind and their body to be able to defy the laws of gravitation. And you see just the slightest bit is enough to blow people's minds. Just defying gravity, just the slightest, is enough to change your whole reality. Now, when you think about the Kundalini rising, that's another form of working against gravity. And the process of rising the Kundalini is basically activating your higher senses. The energy stuck in the base of your spine and raise it up. So another form of this is thought. Thought is magnetic. That's why we're able to think about things instantly. There is no wait time between you thinking a thought and a visual or a word or whatever the case is pops in your head or your mind. The mind penetrates all things material, seen and unseen. This is why we are able to affect ether from millions and millions of miles away, whether you say it's in space or, you affecting somebody on the other side of the world. Whatever the case may be, when we think, we impress upon our subconscious certain thoughts. And if we burn it, or if we think about it hard enough, burn it into our mind, this will bring about synchronicity. So whenever we have those moments, connecting the dots and solving the puzzles, this is all the result of thinking about something deep enough to the point where it affects your reality. Just by the mere process of thinking about something long enough and hard enough and deep enough, you actually start to influence your reality. Just simply by thought. It doesn't require any physical strength. This is all mental. This is all hands off. That's magnetism. Hands off. Doesn't matter about the distance, the weight, none of that. The height, anything that has physical limitations is a complete opposite when you think about magnetism. As we start influencing the ethers and affecting our subconscious mind, creating those synchronicities, it's like we are generating a frequency or emitting a signal out which magnetizes those moments to us, those people, places, things, etc. All these things are being generated by us going through a natural process in our minds, which is magnetic, which is energetic, which is electric, and which is etheric. So before we get to solids, liquids, and gases and light, we go into those deeper or those hidden or those mysterious forces that we can't perceive with our eyes. Before we can see change, change is already going on outside of us and within us. And most of the time, you will see when you start to do different things, your life changes as you do different things, as you conquer new fears or old fears, as you explore new territory and maybe even old territory. As we start to expand our vision, our conscience, and our imaginations, our world starts to get bigger or maybe even smaller. Nature and humanity is two different things. The same force that commits crimes is the same force that produces music. The only thing different is its expression or its end result, but the process behind the music or the crime or so-called crime, it's the same energy, it's the same process. However, when it's not being expressed in a certain way, it becomes destructive. So that same creative energy can become a destructive energy based on how it's channeled. Doesn't make the energy good, bad, right, or wrong. It's just different expressions of the same energy. We can be the kindest people on the planet, the most civilized, the nicest, all that. But if we don't know how to work our minds and train our bodies and really understand these mysterious forces around us, we're still limited to what we can do. We become limitless the moment we dig into these mysterious forces and use them to our benefit. This is the true spiritual science. When it comes to mental alchemy, you're taking base materials, or you can say natural talents, raw essence, energy, just the raw version of something, and refining it, which gives it power. When you give something power through the process of refinement, using the lower intelligence as well as your higher intelligence. So it's not necessarily all about connecting with your higher self and your highest mind. It's all about that lower mind has to connect with that higher mind first. There is no you connect with the higher mind and you cut off the lower mind, because we still have to live and be humans no matter what type of spiritual things we're doing. We still have to eat, sleep, take care of responsibilities, and do what humans do while we are alive. So the lower intelligence is always going to be active no matter how high or far we go into our spirituality. And it's from transmuting that lower energy into higher energy, because it is the same energy. It's not two separate things, it's one and the same, just variations or degrees within that same plane of existence. And through this process of mental alchemy or physical alchemy, however you want to put it, you create power and you multiply it. When you create the power and you multiply it, and the power is just simply knowing how to correctly use your mind and tapping into the mysterious forces influencing your reality, you can create for yourself a source of wealth. This is more than money, this is abundance. You can create for yourself abundance. It has to be created. Although it is our natural right to enjoy all the fruits of the earth, we still have to be at a level mentally and spiritually to really enjoy it. Because you have a lot of people with money, but that don't mean they're happy. You know what I mean? We hear about this stuff all the time. We don't have to get into it. So obviously there's more to it than just accumulating paper bills. Because if anything, you would want to accumulate gold and silver, actual materials, because that's going to really affect you more than paper dollars. If you really want to get technical, having a room full of gold bars as opposed to a room full of green papers, what do you think is going to affect you? Gold or paper and ink? Now, that paper and ink obviously isn't useless, and it does have a power and it does emit a frequency. But when we talking about gold, we talking about the highest form of material. So you can do the science yourself, and that goes into soul work. You become a soul gatherer, because once you transcend just wanting to be materially happy, you start seeking the spiritual happiness or the spiritual harmony, combining your spirituality with your material reality. You combine them, you make them into one. You don't look at them as two separate things, you look at them as one whole thing. And this is when you start to amplify your abilities, because obviously if you're doing spiritual work, at some point you have the ability or you have the natural talent to heal others or to affect others in a positive way, maybe even a negative way for those who may need that. You take on whatever form you need to take on based on the event or the circumstance. So when you start to gather the pieces of your soul by digging deeper into your soul and doing the spiritual and the mental alchemy as well as the physical alchemy, which is basically staying in shape, the mental alchemy is basically getting your mind right and detoxing your mind from all these illusions and seeing reality for what it really is. And the spiritual alchemy is being able to connect with the mysterious forces and channel them in as you see fit, not in a destructive manner, but a creative manner that will positively or sometimes negatively affect others. Now, when it comes to aliens and UFOs and all this sci-fi stuff, just analyze how it makes you feel. If there really are aliens and UFOs, does that put fear in your heart, or does it empower you? Meaning, when you think about aliens and Anunnakis and Syrians and, you know what I mean, reptilians, Andromedans and all these names, like, does it empower you and show you what you really are, or does it take away your power? This is how I look at it. So I'm not going to say if there really are aliens or not, even though I haven't seen any UFOs, but I'm pretty sure there are people that have seen it. So I'm not here to say if the shit is real or not. I'm just looking at it as from a practical point of view. How does it really make you feel? Because if it takes away your power, then obviously it can't be for you. Because if the aliens are here fucking with us, then obviously we have something to offer them. Obviously they have some type of interest in humans. If humans is just fucking wild savages, why do they even care? They just fucking destroy the earth. You know what I'm saying? If it just really was that simple. But the fact that that's not what's going on here, that we are still here. If they are here, if they are not, we living amongst them, whether they in the earth, outside the earth, in outer space, however you want to put it. They're still here living amongst us. So obviously they have an interest in us. If you want to talk about the government and all these top secret operations and all these things. Just when we really look at all this stuff, whether it's the government, whether it's aliens or the Illuminati, all these things, obviously they have an interest in us. They have some type of agenda going on, and they're trying to keep people suppressed or oppressed, whatever you think the agenda is. The point that they even have an agenda in the first place in doing spiritual shit or alien shit or whatever, it shows that they are in fear. Because they really, if they all they had to do was fucking just destroy shit with a fucking rocket launcher, it wouldn't be that fucking hard. You know what I mean? Just fucking shoot a rocket launcher. But since they fucking with people on a mental level, then that tells you that obviously they don't want you to rise to your highest potential. There's some type of suppression going on. Or on the flip side of it, you can say the fucking aliens is here to help us get past that. And that's where the technology of the internet comes in, and it liberates people. Now you have access, as I was just stating earlier, you have access to unlimited information. You have access to even bullshit information, just depending on what you into. So the point that all these operations are in place to affect you mentally just shows that they don't really want you to know what's going on. Now, what's actually going on? Well, shit, you can look at it in two different ways. You can look at it as this is hell. The earth is hell, and we're bound to our bodies. And you know what I mean. We all these events that has happened through time shows that. For example, there used to be public executions. People would publicly get killed. There used to be, stadiums where men are fighting lions, and anything we can think of at some point in time, people were doing it. Now, it's not like that now, because, people, we got to be more civilized. But what does that show? It shows human nature. Human nature has the capacity to be a murderer, a killer, but it also has a potential to be the highest form of whatever we are, which is infinite. There is no highest form. It's all based on what we feel we can handle. Can you handle the truth? That's the real question. Can we handle the truth? Not what is the truth, can you handle it? Because if you couldn't handle it, even if the truth was told to you, you wouldn't believe it. So are you equipped to handle the truth? Because if you're really equipped to handle the truth, then you will discover what the truth is. It'll just make sense to you because you're ready to handle it. If you're not ready to handle it, then you could have been hearing the truth since you was 8 years old, but you wouldn't have accepted it. Now, the last one I want to talk about is psychedelics. Psychedelics, to me, is the highest form of technology on this planet. When you combine the psychedelic experience with science, because it's one thing to do psychedelics and to enjoy the trip, but it's another thing to be able to decode the information that you're receiving because you know the science behind what you are seeing in the first place, which in all ancient civilizations, they had the psychedelics as well as the science. Nowadays, we have the science. Psychedelics are still around, but not too many people do them. But for those who do psychedelics and who do study the arts and who just don't do it for fun, these are really brilliant people. And the perfect example is Steve Jobs, the motherfucker who invented the iPhone. Apple, one of the most wealthiest companies on the planet, came from a dude that took LSD, a psychedelic. He took psychedelics. Now I don't know the full story about how many times he did it or whatever the case may be, but you can say the most advanced forms of technology is the result of experimenting with psychedelics and knowing the science behind putting all this into action. So if he was influenced by a psychedelic trip and he had the know-how to implement this and put this into some type of action, some type of technology, and generate wealth from it, that's genius. That's alchemy. Now, obviously, everybody isn't going to be on that level because, again, it's not really about the status quo. It's about the end game. You have to ask yourself, what is the end game for you? At the end of the day, do you want to be in some mansion with all the fancy, luxurious things in life? Or do you want to be spiritually equipped to deal with what's coming after death? Or you can be both. You can be spiritually equipped with the material wealth as well, or you can be one or the other. I say, why not be both? Why not be at your highest form as well as spiritually equipped? And be in the most luxurious environment that you can imagine. It's all possible. Hey, and it doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire. It's about how you utilize your environment. Even if you're in a one-bedroom apartment, if you know how to utilize that one-bed apartment, it can feel luxurious as you want it to feel. It's all based on the limits of our own minds. So that's what it is. Hopefully y'all enjoy this. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all thinking. It is what it is.